statements
Sitting here
like
today,
this.
are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't
of
answer that
anything that's
question?
brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
I'm
are you
sitting here as a
aware,
nominee.
just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
Are
is
you aware of
horrible.
a,
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not
you
looked
seem
at it.
reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that
No,
question.
it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The president has
hypothetical.
called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
the
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to be
question is
focused
this.
on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president.
The entire confrontation between Representative Adam Schiff and Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi wasn't really about Jack Smith, Liz Cheney, or even the 2020 election. It was about one question: will the next Attorney General defend the rule of law, or will they serve as an extension of presidential power? That's the core tension Schiff exposed, and it's why this hearing matters well beyond the headlines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president could commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an Attorney General who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know,
and sitting here,
72%,
sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
please, I only have 7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
I'm
are you
sitting here as
aware?
a nominee.
Just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you aware of
horrible.
a?
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has
Based on
asked
what you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my questions.
California right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
my question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is this.
focused on, Senator.
Do you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power. So
investigation,
let me ask you another.
like you did
let me-
leaking your
let me ask
colleague
you-
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question. If you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No,
Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went
That's
as an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so you
Let me
look at-
finish. On a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I
let me
abhor violence to police officers.
follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as
do,
well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is-
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress, Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
Schiff began by pointing directly to the Supreme Court's ruling in Trump v. United States, a decision that effectively handed the presidency unprecedented immunity in areas the court defines as core responsibilities. One of those areas is oversight of the Justice Department. Schiff understood exactly what that means. A future president could pressure the DOJ to launch politically motivated investigations, retaliate against critics, or shield allies, and claim immunity while doing so. That's why Schiff's questioning wasn't hostile for the sake of theater. It was a stress test. He wanted to know if Pam Bondi, a longtime Trump ally, had the independence to say no. And the trouble began the moment he asked a basic question. Would she investigate Jack Smith simply because the president wants it? Instead of offering a clear reassurance, Bondi deflected. She leaned on technicalities, avoided the premise of the question, and refused to acknowledge what Schiff was really probing, whether she recognizes the difference between a president's desires and legitimate legal grounds. When someone nominated to run the Department of Justice can't say whether they see any factual basis to investigate a prosecutor who has repeatedly held the powerful accountable, that's not neutrality. That's hesitancy grounded in politics, not law. Schiff pushed further, because he wasn't just asking about one investigation. He was examining whether Bondi could resist political pressure altogether. So he asked about Liz Cheney, another person Trump publicly said should be prosecuted. Again, Bondi dodged. Schiff wasn't asking her to weigh in on the merits of any case. He was asking whether she was aware of any factual predicate, any evidence at all that Cheney committed a crime. That she couldn't say no speaks volumes. Because for any attorney general, the simplest foundation of the job is knowing that evidence, not presidential preference, determines prosecution. But the deeper issue emerged when Schiff shifted to something larger than any single figure: truth. Could she say publicly, on the record, that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Could she state plainly that there was no massive fraud? These are settled facts, verified in court, reaffirmed by Trump's own officials, judges, and Republican state leaders. Yet Bondi refused. Not because she didn't know the answer, everyone knows the answer, but because saying it would contradict the political narrative of the man who wants her in office. This moment matters because it revealed the central concern. If someone cannot acknowledge factual reality when it contradicts the president's interests, how can they enforce the law against him or his allies? How can they protect the Justice Department from becoming a tool of retaliation or reward? Schiff wasn't just asking about elections. He was checking whether Bondi could operate independently in a role where independence is non-negotiable. The tension escalated when Schiff turned to pardons. Trump has repeatedly vowed to issue sweeping pardons on day one, many involving individuals convicted of assaulting police officers on January 6th. Schiff asked the obvious question: would Bondi advise the president against blanket pardons? Again, no clear answer. Instead, she hid behind process, as if hundreds of pardon recommendations could all be responsibly reviewed in a single day. But the underlying truth was simpler. She didn't want to contradict the president's stated intentions. Then came perhaps the most alarming moment of all. Schiff asked whether she would commit to preserving evidence from January 6th. That should have been the easiest question in the hearing. Every attorney general should be able to say yes without hesitation. Evidence preservation is one of the most basic responsibilities in any investigation, especially one involving an attack on the United States government. Yet Bondi refused to give a direct commitment. She leaned on vague statements about following the law, but couldn't make the explicit promise Schiff was asking for. That wasn't just concerning, it was revealing. Because if an incoming attorney general cannot clearly vow to preserve evidence connected to an attack on American democracy, we have to ask why. This hearing wasn't about Pam Bondi's resume. It was about whether the Justice Department will remain an institution dedicated to the law or become an instrument of presidential will. Schiff's questions exposed a nominee unwilling to distance herself from Trump's political goals, unwilling to reaffirm established facts about the election, and unwilling to commit to protecting the integrity of federal investigations. That is exactly the danger the Supreme Court created when it expanded presidential immunity, and Schiff was sounding the alarm. Because the question isn't whether a president can pressure the DOJ. The question is, who will stop him? An attorney general should be the firewall, the last safeguard of democratic accountability. But if the person appointed to that position cannot say no, cannot assert independence, cannot defend the truth, then the Justice Department becomes something it was never meant to be, an arm of political power rather than the rule of law. If our system is going to withstand the challenges ahead, it will depend on leaders who value truth more than loyalty, evidence more than pressure, and democracy more than the political cost of defending it. This hearing showed us exactly how fragile that balance is. If you want deeper breakdowns like this, where we examine not just the performance, but the power structures behind it, make sure you subscribe to Blue Capital. We analyze hearings, uncover context the headlines skip, and help you understand what's really happening inside American government. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one.